Samantha from Jessimo Tutorials here, and today I'm going to show you how to create a cute pair of pebble earrings using translucent polymer clay. And I'm going to be going for kind of a moonstone effect, so for that you're also going to need some color changing pigments. Here are the two that I've chosen. I've got one that's kind of green and the other one that's blue. I'm going to be using the blue one today. But if you wanted to kind of change this up and make kind of faux labradorite with it, you could use the green. But anyway, I've just taken the translucent and I've cut them straight from the block of clay. I have not conditioned them at all. And I'm just going to take that and I'm going to chop that into pieces, and I'll do this one in a bit. But the reason I've left it off, the reason I haven't conditioned it is because it will give sharper edges once this has been cut, and it won't kind of all mush together and just will leave you with a better effect. So specifically for this, I don't condition the clay. Okay, and there are both blocks of clay chopped up together. Okay, and then what I am going to do to prevent mess is I'm going to take all of that and I'm going to pop that into a plastic bag because I want to mix paint and mica powder through this, and I don't really want to get that all over the place. And also by putting it in a plastic bag, it means that you end up using less paint, and the paint that you do use will be in a plastic bag. You can add a little bit of water, seal it up, and then you can use it for future projects, so long as you don't take too long to do those projects. But yes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first apply the acrylic paint. The powder I'm going to brush on afterwards, because otherwise I'm going to end up using way too much powder. And I'm just using regular old white acrylic paint. This is the brand I recommend. It's the one that I use in pretty much all of my tutorials. And I'm just going to pop a little bit of paint in there, don't need too much. Okay, then seal that up, leaving plenty of air. Grip that and give it a shake. And you see how that starts to disperse the paint. Keep shaking until you get a nice even coat. Okay, then open up the bag, take that and just drop that out onto your work surface because it won't dry very well in the bag. There we go. Okay, and then just disperse that out and give it a decent amount of time to dry. I would say probably at least 15 minutes, give or take. Okay, and here it is. It's still a little wet, but for the most part it's dry. So I'm just going to spread that out and I'm going to bring over the mica powder. Just give that an open. There we go. And that's the powder I'm going to use. Now I don't need much. And I am going to be brushing a little more on later, but for now I want to just get a little bit in here. I don't want to use too much powder because it can cause a stick-proof effect. Gosh, the wind is going. There we go. Okay, and I'm just going to mix that through. And that should have a reflective blue. Hopefully you can see that. It's not going to show up a huge amount, but it should be just enough to kind of achieve that moonstone like glow. And we'll see but I think I'm also going to mix a little bit of that powder into the varnish I use later, because you can then get a little bit more of this going through the clay. But there we go, hopefully you can see that colour. Okay, and that should do. Then you're just going to take that and squish that up all together. And I didn't use too much powder, so it should stick together. If you use a lot of powder, you end up with the clay not sticking. If that's the case, you can always add a little bit of translucent liquid clay. It can make it a little sticky to work with, but it will strengthen everything out. And I know I have powder all over my fingers, but there's no point in cleaning that up until I've finished pressing this into a cane. And you're just going to take that and press down on all the sides, compacting that clay together. You can use a roller to do that as well, and just continue doing that until you're happy that it's all together. Okay, and then once you're happy that you've got it all together, you can then slice that. And I'm going to use a nice thin blade to do that. And that is the effect that you should get. And you're going to continue slicing those as thin as you can, well, not as thin as you can get them, but just as evenly as you can get them. That's really the importance. I'd say that these are about 1.5 millimeters to 2 millimeters thick, roughly, give or take. That you can see how nice that comes out. And there's not going to be a lot of that blue shine. That's going to show up later once it's been baked and once we brush a little more on there. And there we go. Then just take all of those pieces and pop them together to create a slab. And I'm just piecing them together roughly. They don't have to fit exactly, just roundabout. Okay, and that should just about do. Then to form it all together, I take a piece of printing paper and I give it a really good burnish. And I continue doing that until I've flattened it all out and got them all to somewhat stick together. Then I move on to my roller to finish up the process. Okay, I lift it up and I've got a couple spots left. If you see a couple of spots where it hasn't formed together properly, just go in and burnish again, and that should seal it up again. And then you can go in with your roller and then begin to stretch that pattern out. And that's why you want the slices to not be too thin, because ultimately you're going to stretch it all out later. So make them at least 1 millimeter thick or thicker than that. I won't go over 2. But I'm just going to continue rolling that, and I'm not going to put the pasta machine because first off I tend to get kind of goop over it because I use black clay, and so the black clay ends up transferring over to translucent, and just in general it doesn't end up looking very clean, so I prefer to hand roll it. Okay, and I'm going to be working on a piece of paper from here on out because I can move that into the oven. Right now my background here can't be baked because I'm working on a little plastic sheet, because not sure if you've noticed, but it doesn't pick up the glare of the lights as much as the ceramic tile, so I've swapped over to using that as a work surface, but I can't transfer that into the oven. So before I cut out my pieces, I've just got the veneer of clay between 2 pieces of plain printing paper, give me a burnish so that it's nice and smooth, and that's what I'm going to bake on. And that's what it looks like. And I'm going to give it a sand, so don't worry about those blue lines that are showing up. That's going to get sanded. And I don't want the cutters sticking, so I'm going to use a piece of plastic wrap over the top of that to stop them from sticking. And just smooth that over and try to get it so that there's no wrinkles in the surface, because that will show up once you've cut. There we go. And these are the cutters that I'm using. They're my mirrored pebble set. And I'm just going to cut out one from each of these, and then I can assemble that later on. Don't need to worry about that right now. But what I do when I cut is I'll choose a spot. Let's see, that will work. And I'm going to press down, but I'm only going to press down half of the way so that I can make sure that it's not going to stick. And then I'll press down the full way. And there, that didn't stick. And also, because you're using plastic wrap, it will give a slight dome. So if you don't want the slight dome, then don't cut with the plastic wrap. But I think it looks quite nice. There we go. And that one didn't stick as well, which is quite nice. And I'll continue cutting out all these little pieces, and I can assemble those into a cute pair of dangle earrings. Okay, and I haven't actually used up all of it, and I'm not going to do that right now. I just want one pair of earrings. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully lift up that cling wrap and move these little pebbles over to the side as I do that, so that they don't stick to this base clay. And it's very important when you're using the cling wrap to make sure that you remove it from the clay. Just make sure that you don't have any little cutouts on the surface, because that, if it goes in the oven, is going to melt and make a mess. So just make sure that you don't have any of that on the surface. And then just take those and pop them to the side. Okay, and here they are. I've got them on a separate piece of paper, ready to pop into the oven. And I'm going to bake those for a full hour at Primo's recommended temperature. And this is probably the order in which I am going to assemble them. But yeah, bake those for a full hour, and preferably on a piece of paper, because that will allow the backs to be nice and smooth and not require all that much in the way of sanding, and will just speed up the process in general. Okay, and here they are out of the oven, and they came out quite clean, so I don't think we need to worry about sanding them. So I'm going to start varnishing them. So I put those to the side, and the varnish I've just popped a little bit in a little acrylic container, and I'm going to take the mica powder from earlier, and I'm going to mix a small amount of that in the container, and that is what's going to tint it so that the pieces will have that kind of blue sheen that will happen as the light changes. And you want to only mix in a small amount, because the powder will reduce the transparency of the varnish. So if you add too much, it ends up making it cloudy. So just add a little bit, just enough that you can see the blue shine. And give it a good stir so it's evenly dispersed. And then you can varnish your pieces. And I'm going to be varnishing both the front and the back. And I can't show exactly how that looks right now, but you'll be able to see the blue shine once it's cured. Okay, and here they are once they've dried. And hopefully you can pick up there the blue shine. And the same on the back. This one isn't showing up as well, but on the domed side it will show up really well. And I've arranged them in the order that I want to string them. And so what I'm going to do next, now that I've varnished both sides, and it was only one coat of varnish per side, you can do more coats if you want. Just be aware that with every coat you're going to apply more of the powder. I'm not sure how well you can see, but the powder does cloud up some of the vein in the piece, so the more powder you add, the less that's going to show up. So just be aware of that while you are applying coats if you plan to do more than one. Then I'm just going to use a handheld pin drill to make my earring holes, and that shouldn't take too long. You just drill a hole like so, and then go back through the other way just to clean it up. There we go. And then I'll continue drilling the holes in the places where I've planned. That's why I would recommend laying out where you want your pieces, so that you know exactly where you're going to drill. Okay, so I've had a different idea for the earrings. I'm not going to string them all together. It was a little long and a little clunky. I've separated it out into a 2-piece earring set, which I will show first, and then a 3-piece earring set. So for the first one, you're going to need a little ballpoint eye pin. Well, it's called a ball pin really. And what you're going to do, I'm going to try to show this the best that I can. It's very fiddly, so I do apologise if the angles are a little strange, but I am going to try to show this as best as possible. But you're going to pop the ball pin through. You're going to hold it, bring it up, and over, like so. Then grab a round nose pair of pliers and grip it right at the top. Then bring that wire around the plier so that it forms that. Then you're going to move your pliers up, and you're going to bring that tail around, and you can move the pliers again to just reposition them to make this comfortable, so that you can wrap that tail around your piece of wire, and you can use your pliers to tighten this. There we go. So you have a little wrapped loop. Then my short pliers are a little blunt at the moment, so I'm making do with this pair of scissors to trim the tail off. Then go in with your pliers and tuck that tail in, because it can be a bit sharp and you don't want to catch yourself on that. There you go, and just straighten that up, and there you've got, oops, I apologise for that, you've got a link. And just fuss around with it so that it's in the right spot, and then that's what you're going to use to link these two together. And now I did want to demonstrate this separately, because once you've managed to practice with that a bit, there actually is a trick so that you don't have to use a jump ring to connect the two. So I'll show you how to do that. And the way to do that is you're basically going to go through the same steps again, and I'm going to go through those quickly this time. Grab that, pull it all the way over like so. Then you're going to position your round nose into the right spot, and you're going to loop, bring that around, and at this point you're going to let go because you've got the loop, and you're going to bring over your piece that you want to link it with, and you are going to attach it into that loop. And if you don't want to have to do this and you just want to be able to link them like you would with jump rings, you don't have to do this wrapped wire part. But to make this easier, I then just grab it with my flat nose and then wrap that around. And then that's secure. It's never going to open. You're never going to lose the link between the two. They're stuck together. And then just trim away that tail. And again, like before, make sure that you tuck in that sharp piece. Okay. And you may need to adjust the loop on one of them. This one I'm going to bring forward so that they sit correctly. And that one I need to just move up a little. There we go. And that is how you would create those earrings. So that's that one where you link it up. This one, what I do is I just create the wrap loop like I showed you right in the beginning, and then I will open the link on the ear wire to connect it. And that is the first earring design. And I can actually take an opportunity to show you that Moonstone effect. And the nice thing, it is completely double-sided. So yeah, that's the first style. Put those to the side, and I'm going to bring over the next one. And the next one's a little different. This one, I actually kind of knotted the pieces together to create this beachy effect, which I thought was quite nice and is something that I want to show. So that's what I'm going to make. The first thing you want to do is the cord. I'm going to bring over the exact cord that I'm using. Actually, zoom you out so you can see that. I get this off of Fire Mountain Gems and Beads. You can see the one that I've got here. And here is the tag if you want to grab that and use that to find it. Just type in the code over here into the search on the website and you'll be able to find the exact one I'm using. But you want to cut a length of it and cut more than you think you're going to need, and pop it in some water and get it to straighten out, because it's going to have loops in it and it's going to be quite unruly when it's straight off the spool. So I highly recommend doing that. Then I've got a little freshwater pearl. You could also create your own from polymer clay. I have shown how to do that on the channel already, so check that out if you want to do that. And then I've got the 3 pieces of Moonstone. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this, and this is going to be very fiddly, but you'll string that through like so. And if the cord's giving you trouble, you can just actually work with it wet. It generally is easier to do if you work with it wet. So if it's giving you trouble, that's one way that you can get it to behave. Then you're going to knot. Don't tie it completely tight. Do another knot. Bring that down. And don't tie it completely tight. You want to take that and pull on the piece, this being a freshwater pearl, and then tighten it so that you end up with a little loop so that your piece has some movement. Then you're going to take the cord and you're going to grab your first piece and you're going to go through opposite ends of the piece. So this one's going to go through that way, then this one is going to go through the opposite way, and this is the fiddly part. But you just want to get both those cords to go through. And the nice thing about working with polymer clay is that if the hole is not big enough and it's giving you a lot of trouble, you can always just make it larger. But then you're going to pull that, not tight, but you are going to pull it so that it sits correctly, like so. And we'll it right at the end. Then at the top you're going to take that and you're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to thread the cord through one way and then you're going to thread the other one the opposite way. And then once you've managed to do that, then take both those cords and again just pull it tight, but not too tight. Just enough that you've got it sitting nicely. And I'll then go and gently push this down to tighten that knot at the bottom. And then you're going to repeat that for each piece. So this one I will now do a double knot just like I did for that one. Then I will attach this piece like I did this one, and then you repeat all the way through until you get to the top piece where you will tie a double knot, and then I'm going to show you how to finish that off with this little cord end. Okay, and then once you've got that and you've tied one more double knot, then what you're going to do is you're just going to grab both of these cords and you're going to string on one of these little charlotte crimps or lobster claw crimps, basically just a cord end. And again, I got these from Fine Mountain Gems and Beads. It can be a bit fiddly, but just get that strung on. There we go. Pull that down. Then grab a crimp bead and pop that on as well. Then you're going to pull that all the way down and you're going to squish that crimp bead in there flat so that it traps the cord. Give it a really good squeeze. That's what's going to be keeping everything together. Okay. Then close that little cord end over the top. Give it a little squish. Okay. And then at that point you can trim away the cord tail that is left. And then attach your ear wire just by opening up that loop and popping that through. And I do apologize, this is quite fiddly and usually I hold it up right up close to my face, but currently the camera is in that position, so I can't see as well as I usually can. But you'll thread those two together and then close. Did I get both of them? Yes. Then just close that loop up. And there you go, that's your other earring. What I would recommend doing is popping this in some water and just giving the cord a little pull, popping it in some water and then allowing it to hang so that the weight causes the cord to straighten, because right now you can see it's all kind of bunching up on itself, whereas this one I did that water trick with it and it's much better. Everything flows much better and it isn't kind of bouncing up on itself, so I'd highly recommend doing that. But yeah, that is pretty much it. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what you thought and whether you'll be trying it. Hopefully you can see there how the Moonstone shows up. It really depends on the light. But yeah, if you enjoyed it, please do let me know in the comments below. And if you would like to support the channel, please do consider becoming a member. There is a join button just below the video where you can become a member and find exclusive tutorials there every single month. And if you'd like to support the channel another way, I do have an Etsy store. There is a link in the description below. I sell things like the colour powder that I used today and the little mini pebble set. So consider checking that out. And if you liked the video, consider leaving a like and commenting. I answer all the questions as soon as possible, so if you have any, just drop them down below and I'll get to them very soon. And again, thank you for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.